Alright, hello gamers. I'll probably record an intro at some point, but just to jump into it, I am playing Blue-White Sailor's Bane in a Value Vintage MTGO event. We're just going to get into the game so we don't delay our opponent. We have Port Town, Island, Cantrips, and a Loose Focus. We're going to keep this. It's a pretty good hand. I don't know what my opponent's on. It looks like they did mulligan to 6. I probably won't record much of a deck tech for this, but if you do want to see a deck tech, I'll link to one that I recorded pretty recently, so you can see what the deck's all about. But I think you'll get a pretty good idea just from the gameplay. Port Town, show you my island. So here we are going to preordain, because I don't really care about representing Spell Pierce, and we just want to get our mana spent. Really crack landscape, that's fine. Two lands. We already have 2 lands, and we have Thoughtscour and Consider, which we don't have a lot of control over what we draw off those. So we're probably going to find a land naturally off our draw step or one of our kind of bad cantrips. So we're going to put that away. We draw Path to Exile, which is a pretty bad removal spell, but it sure is a removal spell. I think our opponent could be on Temur Rhinos, would be maybe my guess. If they're on an established archetype. If they're not on an established archetype, it's very hard to say. They could be playing anything. I'd say they're probably not playing Infect. I'm expecting this to be a Cascader. So we're going to let the Shardless go. If I had one more mana, I could actually lose focus both halves. I could get the Cascade target as well as the Shardless itself. Yeah, so we see Simian Spirit Guide, the lands, Elvish Spirit Guide, Violent Outburst. So this is just classic stock Rhinos. It's going to be like Temur Rhinos in Modern, but with faster mana through Spirit Guides, and it's got the addition of the initiative creatures, which can be really, really tough. This is not a good matchup. I don't think it's like the most cursed thing in the world, but it's not good. So here, we're not pathing the Shardless. That makes no sense. I think what is going to happen is they're going to put another must-answer threat onto the stack next turn. So I'm going to play Island. I'm going to Consider when they put their spell on the stack. And then if I don't hit Counterspell or lose focus, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. There is a chance, since they mulled to 6, that they had like a 1-threat hand, and the rest of their hand is air. Or maybe if we're lucky, they have like Alalia, although it doesn't appear they have Alalia. Which is actually unfortunate, because Path to Exile lines up pretty good against that. There's an Caves of Chaos. So here, I'm going to Consider. I'd really like to find a Counterspell. Bend that. Okay, Counterspell, but it's the wrong one. There's nothing I can draw right now. So they're going to get the initiative, which is a big old problem. Spell Pierce is starting to look kind of dead. I could Faithful Mending, so this is going to resolve. Yep. Path to Exile is not so bad now. They're going to have the mana that they need. The problem is, it's very hard to answer their threats because the initiative is just so powerful. They're going to enter the Undercity, and that's a huge problem. We do have some sideboard for it, but we'll worry about the sideboard when we get there. So right now, my decision is either double Thoughtscour myself or Mending myself. I think because the Spell Pierce is kind of bad, because they cast a 4-drop, they're going to go to 5 mana next turn off the land that they got. So they're going to play land, and then if they Shardless or Violent Outburst, they're going to hit a Cascade. I'm going to do the Faithless just because it's like spending a chunkier spell and leaving my 1-mana cantrips for later. Bend this. Bend this. We'll keep this out because it does matter. So here, maybe a little punished for not keeping that land. I think we have to dig through time into like land Counterspell. We have 7 in our graveyard, so we could leave Faithful Mending or Frantic Inventory. I'm going to leave the Frantic Inventory. I think it's more likely that that matters to me. And then, so digging here, it'd be good to find like land Sailor's Bane, so we can start contesting for the initiative. Land Loose Focus is not the worst thing we could have seen. The problem is, with 2 mana up, we're probably not going to get to Loose Focus anything very efficiently. They are going to go to the Forge, most likely here, unless their hand's really bad, in which case they'll lost well, but typically you go down the left side because it's just so much more damage. They're forging. I think if they're smart, they'll go on the Shardless here. Yep. So we're going to have to path the Caves of Chaos, which, let's see if I have a beginning of combat stop. I do. We're just going to path this. It's going to put us shields down, but we're kind of shields down anyway since we just have a Loose Focus for 2 up. We just need them to not get the card off that. And then we're going to Thought Scour ourselves on the end step after taking 4. Keep in mind, they do have a loaded trap pointed at us, so we're actually at a virtual 11, which is not good. And here, if they have anything at all... Okay. So they post-combat their Minskin Boo because they didn't want to spend the mana on one. This is actually really interesting. So I'm going to... Yeah, okay, so interesting. I can steal the Boo and kill the Minsk with the Archmage's Charm, which is about as good of an exchange as one can ever ask for against a Minskin Boo. Modes. That's pretty cool. Shout out Archmage's Charm. One, two, three, four, five, six. I could take the initiative, but I think clearing the Minskin Boo matters a lot more. Here I could hold up Loose Focus for 2, but that doesn't stop me from getting Minskin Boo'd again. It doesn't stop me from getting Undermountained or Footfalls. So I'm just going to run out my big snake and hope that I can block and then contest the initiative a little bit. We are going to cantrip once off of our Thought Scour. So we're basically hoping that they don't have anything really powerful this turn, and then we can start getting into our efficient removal, like Swords to Plowshares, and then overpower them with 5/5s and 7/7s. There's that trap. Next turn they're going to get an extra card if we don't get the initiative, and then Throne of the Dead 3 is pretty bad. Okay. So notably, Loose Focus would not have stopped that. And if we get a single piece of interaction, like if we get a Swords to Plowshares, we should be able to push this down and then have Loose Focus up. Like I said, this is not a good matchup. Okay, so that's not bad. That's not bad. We could have Loose Focus if we had mana up, but Lelia is one of the more answerable threats that they have. Is he buffing the Lelia? It's pretty good. Yeah, because it'll become a 6-power threat. That's smart. I haven't seen that done much. We're not chumping. This is a hard matchup. The opposing deck is a very, very strong deck in this format. Yeah, it's tough. Double Minskin Boo is a little bit hard, but really all of their threats are pretty difficult to answer on like kind of a one-for-one perspective. Thought Scour me. We're going to need to hit pretty good here. Okay. Alright, we have 6 mana, so that's Archmage's Charm, and then Loose Focus for 2, so we can counter 4. So I can push through a 3-drop, but not a 4-drop. Archmage's Charm, take Boo, Legend Roll Boo. Attack with both, and we clear the Minskin Boo, but then we're dead on the Crackback. Send both face, they block here, they block here. It's not pretty. We can flashback Faithful Mending. I I think we need some swords. We need some S words to Plowshares. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. So we have swords and loose focus for 2 up. Swords the Lelia. Minsk and Boo is going to make that a 4/4. I don't think we're loose focusing, so let's thought scour ourselves and get full information. If we find a Tolarian Terror, it could be interesting. If we find another Swords to Plowshares, it could be interesting. Wow. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we are going to Boo into Minsk, Swords to Plowshares, the Shardless Agent after blocks. And then we're going to Swords the Lelia. So what's the Terror do? Okay, we're gonna. So I'm hoping. Yeah, this will be fine. I'm hoping they block with the Boo on the Terror here. Let's go. So knock down the Boo, or the Minsk, clear the Boo with that attack, and then Glacial Fortress, and we're going to answer the Lelia. They're still the initiative, so they're going to have 3 cards here, and if they have anything at all, we probably lose the game. Which is not good, but I will say we have fought the good fight here. Land is good for us. We can't let that attack. If they throne us, we're going to lose. Okay, so I can play Faithful Mending, or I can not flashback Faithful Mending. I'm going to get a land here. So let's get a land first. Hit for 9. Okay, they have Violent Outburst here. Footfalls are going to have 5 up, so we have to lose focus them for 6, which is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have 2 mana up after. Cascade into Violent Outburst, or into Footfalls. We're going to counter that, and then we're going to go Shields down. Is there any world where we let them have the rhinos? I don't think so. Replicate twice for a total of 3. 1, 2, 1, 2. So now they have to... Never replicated on Moto. I will say I'm not very much a Moto gamer. I'll probably make a game-losing MTGO misclick at some point. So everybody should get excited for when that happens and start expecting it. Same targets. Okay. Oh, they have a guide. Ugh, I suck. That's so bad. Oops. Yeah, so I should have done one more. That's kind of embarrassing. I promise I played this format before. Ugh, that was stupid. So now they're gonna get a Footfalls. They shouldn't block. Okay, so now I need to Faithful Mending into another 1-mana removal spell or a Tolarian Terror, which is doable. Oh, man, that's unfortunate. That was really... Yeah, that was a mistake. I should have overpaid on the loose focus in case of a Spirit Guide. Okay, so... Hushbringers are nice because they stop the initiative guys, which is pretty important. Test of Talents is simultaneously nice and bad because it does rip out all of the rhinos. But the problem is, if you have Test of Talents as your piece of interaction, and they have Undermountain Adventure, you lose the game. So I think Spell Pierces are mid because half their threats beat Spell Pierce. So those are coming out. Loose Focus is really uniquely good against the Cascaders. I think Hushbringer is kind of an important part of being able to actually win the game, unfortunately. They don't have a lot of interaction, so if you stick a Mentor, you might be able to ride that for a while. I never cut the Cruise and the Dig. I just feel like that's a mistake. Terrors line up pretty well. I wonder if you ever go down the Frantic Inventories. I've never done that before, but it's starting to seem right. And then we just, like, draw good cards. Because I'm just thinking we're not going to have time for this. But the problem is, these are really where you start to win the game. I think cutting them is maybe a mistake that's on the same level as cutting Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time. I think if I answer, like, the first 3 threats, and then I don't have Frantic Inventories, I think I'm going to die. Archmage's Charm is a little slow, I'm not going to lie to you. It looked kind of good there, but I don't think Path is a good plan. I am not confident. You'd think I would know how to sideboard more, but it's all just like marginal upgrades. Nothing's like a slam dunk. But that was pretty close. I do think we got a little bit lucky to see our Archmage's Charms and our removal spells right when we needed them, but we were also on the draw. So notably, we don't have white mana. We're currently playing 7 white sources. This hand doesn't have interaction for the stack, but it is preordained Considers. I think we're going to keep it. There is a chance we just die like a dog. I could be getting a little bit baited by the cantrips, but going preordain into Consider Thoughtscour should set me up pretty well to start deploying threats to contest the initiative or find interaction or white mana. I don't know, though. For anyone who's watching, I will say this Rhinos deck I do think is just one of the best decks in the format. Okay, we do need that Port Town. We don't necessarily need this, so let's go ahead and get our white mana here. That makes me feel less like we're going to die without doing anything. Because now if they go like, please don't. Okay. We're not getting Violent Outbursts on turn 0. I would actually kind of like them to double Spirit Guide out Alalia. And now I would like to draw Counter Magic. Okay, so Glacial Fortress is always on now. Port Town is not always on. Play this. We're going to represent Counterspell, and then we're going to use our spells at instant speed. This is a huge part of why I like the deck so much, and why I think its play patterns are good. You are really, really good at holding up mana and spending it efficiently on your opponent's end step. I do kind of wish that my Hushbringers were Doorkeeper Thralls. That card used to be more money than Hushbringers. The problem here is if they have Simian Spirit Guide, they can Violent Outburst me, which is bad, but we can't actually play around it. I'm looking pretty desperately for a counterspell. So in the case of these Considers versus these Thoughtscours, Consider is slightly more selection, right? Because you get to Surveil. Thoughtscour just gives you a random card. So we're going to double Consider here, looking for a Loose Focus or a counterspell. He could Violent Outburst here, but there's not a lot we can do about it. We're still as shields down as we are. Now that I have a Loose Focus, let's Thoughtscour myself and get the random card before we make our next choice. Now, if they do have a Violent Outburst, this is a time they could go for it. Interesting. I am not the best at playing Balance. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's an important card. It's a powerful card. It's a card that uniquely scales inversely with how the game is going, in that Balance is more powerful the worse things are going. I think we're going to let the Lelia go and then Swords it. Because this answers a Violent Outburst, this doesn't. This also answers an Unga Bunga Adventurer, and this doesn't. So it's a pretty obvious Swords on the Lelia for me before we attack. I hope this stop is good. This is the kind of hand we can win. And this is the kind of hand where a Hushbringer is going to look pretty good, believe it or not, because it turns Swords to Plowshares into real removal against Undermountains and such. A lot of people would keep this snake. I don't. We need to cantrip into powerful spells, if that makes sense. I wish the order on those had been different, but... The first Frantic Inventory doesn't feel very good to cast, but the second feels great, and the third feels like winning the game. Okay, show me one initiative creature here. They didn't have Violent Outburst the other turn, although I might be forgetting when they had red mana. We're going to Frantic here, and we can answer a Violent in response. If we had another cantrip here, are we going to cast it, or are we going to hold up for Violent? I think if I hit another cantrip here, I'll probably play it. It looks like they're considering Violent Outburst right now. I think I actually want them to Violent Outburst now so I can balance it away. Okay. Okay. I could just Counterspell. So they're on 4 cards, 4 lands. Frantic's going to take me to 5. I kind of think this is a balance moment. And the reason is, balance doesn't answer an Undermountain Adventurer fully, and it doesn't answer a Minsc and Boo fully. So let's use our resources where they make the most sense. And we're going to balance the rhinos, and then hold up Counterspell for Minsc and Boo or Undermountain Adventurer. We are going to go down some resources here, but that's fine. Balance with 1 Counterspell up. We're going down an island and an island. That's fine. Keep these, sack the rest. 4 lands chosen. Done to discard the rest. So that's not a good exchange, but that is the worst that balance can possibly be, more or less. Balance can also get us out of a really bad situation, like if that Lelia was still in play. It's a weird card. I'm not going to claim to be the best at casting it, but... Okay, Shardless. So we can Counterspell or we can double Loose Focus. The problem is, what if they have 2 Spirit Guides? Am I playing around 2 Spirit Guides? Because I have backup Counterspell, I am. Because right now, we're in the Dig Through Time, Treasure Cruise, or Frantic Inventory waiting room. Ugh. And now I should have Loose Focused, because if I had 2 copies of Loose Focus, Mystical Dispute wouldn't have gotten me. I am just making all the wrong plays today. Okay. And now he's got 10 power in play, and the balance that I cast last turn is looking like it would be pretty good this turn. Best top deck is Frantic Inventory or a Delve spell into building a board state. Look, we play a lot of cantrips, we play a lot of restricted cards. It's not surprising that we draw them when we want them, because we want them quite a lot. We always delve our Frantics never, and we delve our non-spells first, basically. Paying attention that we're getting rid of a Terror and a Bane. We have 2 Terrors, 4 Banes currently. Just keep that in mind. Alright, so now I need a Sailor's Bane would be good. Not great. We are probably in the business of swordsing a Rhino. That makes it 6 damage. If we take 10 here, we're at 10, and then 6 and 6 kills us. If we take 6 here, then we can take 3 hits. So we're going to do this and hope that Counterspell Loose Focus answers whatever their next threat is. So now we just need to draw another busted restricted card. No Faithful Mendings to flashback. No cards to spend our mana on. If we brick on a draw step here, we're probably going to lose. So I could play towards a Faithful Mending and hold an additional land. But I think I'm going to have to do a couple counterspells here. Technically, we have 2 more draw steps, but realistically, I think we need to draw a powerful card on our next draw step where we lose. Yep. That's unfortunate. I felt like I was really close to in control of this game. There's a chance that the loose focus would have gotten ranched by a couple spirit guides, but the fact that they got this footfalls through was a really, really big problem. Yeah, not a lot to say here, unfortunately. I feel like this was a really close 0-2, believe it or not. Unless... Okay, this is where we make our money. Don't have counter magic. Yeah? So it's Archmage's Charm, the Rhino token on their upkeep. With Counterspell up to protect it? It's about as good as it gets. If they have much of anything at all, we're going to die. The other thought is Monastery Mentor with nothing except a Counterspell up. That seems worse to me, so let's go for a nice 2-for-1 protected. If they do anything at all here, we die, but... So we need them to have a counterspellable answer. Okay. It would be crazy to win this, but I will say I think that was a really good demonstration of kind of how the deck plays out. Like, we drew our powerful spell, we got our dig through time into our Frantic Inventory. It would be nice to win after doing that. But this is just a hard matchup. Rhinos is really, really good in this format. So now we need this to be counterspellable, which it should be. So the Footfalls is suspended. We are still going to Test of Talents it, just to take a look at their deck. And because Test of Talents isn't doing much else. So we get to see deck and hand, which is nice. Exile, in case they have a Delve spell. So I'm currently dead to these Fire Ices, which isn't very good. Ravenous Trap's not good against me, I'll tell you that right now. So they have not threats, 2 Undermountain Adventurers, 2 Lelias, 2 Menskin Boos, 3 Caves of Chaos. It's going to be hard. Okay. Hand is Elvish Spirit Guide, Rav Trap, Forest. I'm going to say Rav Trap's bad against me, and then they're going to somehow beat me with it, but okay. I guess let me... Revealed cards? Okay. So I am currently dead on board if I don't do anything. They do have a Footfalls coming down, but that'll get countered by actual factual. I will say the loose focuses are starting to look bad. We're going to play this land because we're currently a loose focus gamer. Okay. This game is becoming winnable. So they have Forest, Rav Trap, Spirit Guide in hand. So next turn, I think they're going to cast the Footfalls, and then they should probably actually cast the Spirit Guide that turn, just to get another lethal threat in play. Forest out of their hand. That leaves them Spirit Guide, Rav Trap. Okay, so... Worst case, they draw Fire Ice, and I have to spend 3 mana to counter it. Do I want to die to them drawing Fire Ice? Well, no, because they could also have drawn a 4-mana threat. What I am going to do, weirdly enough, is... I feel so bad. But if they do this and then they just attack and I don't draw a cantrip, I'm going to die. That's basically converting a counterspell into a monk token in case we don't draw anything. They're disputing? Why? You don't care about this. Hold on. But that tells me that they have another... They want me to tap out here and then ram through a Fire Ice, I think. Oh, no, their last card is Rav Trap. Well, what does that mean then? So is the board currently contained? Not really. I'm going to draw a cantrip or something. Is it bad if they just attack me? It is bad. Well, no, because then we trade... We have to trade our mentor, yeah. Okay. Oh, and they also have the footfalls coming off. We are going to counterspell it because it'll be easier to lose focus, a spell that they have to spend mana on. And this is also going to make their attack bad. It's not on the stack yet. I'm going to go to time and people are going to make fun of me. And they still have a draw step, which can replicate 6 times. I wish this was a Swords to Plowshares so I could potentially gain some life in response to a Fire Ice, but they don't have an attack. Time to make my money. This is how we do it. I'm gonna die because of my monk triggers. Okay, we gotta get this game closed out pretty soon, I think. If I send Monastery Mentor and they triple block, I would have to path 1 Faithful Mending, which would leave me 4 mana up for counterspells. No attacks this turn, attacks next turn. This deck requires a lot of patience, but we're going to dig through time into Faithful Mending on the end step, which is going to hopefully set us up for a 2-turn clock. Cool that their land cycles. Cool that their other land cycles. I don't know, maybe they should crack that now. I'm done Frantic Inventorying, so I don't need those anymore. Doesn't matter anymore. So you don't know how to... you guys can't tell me. I don't know how to skip this stack. Here we want more cantrips. A little weird, but we're going to do this. Deck's starting to look real thin. We're going to Thought Scour them. How do I skip this stack? I don't know. I maybe should have saved that for my turn. Yeah, I'm gonna time out because of monk triggers for sure. Do we path anything? No. Oh, okay, I didn't really want to be here, but let's talk now that we are. I would have liked to Faithful Mending first and then cantrip. This is fine. So we have 9 damage going through, and each spell is 5 points, right? So we have 9, and that's 14, 19. So we need 3 triggers. We have them dead now. Okay. I don't know how to yield. Am I not auto-yielding these? Ah, ha. Now I'm unstoppable. then I want to do something else before damage. I don't want to... Okay. And then I could Swords my own guy, or I could lose focus this path. 3, so they're going to 4, so it's 4 by 5 is 20, so we just do this. Well, no, because if we're sure we're going to win, let's leave up more mana. Okay, this should do it, because our monks are going to 5, our rhinos at 4. 4, so we have 4 by 5 is 20, plus 4 is 24. I am not going to concede. It should not be yielded still. We're going to play a game 3 just to see what it looks like. We're not going to win the match based on time, but that's kind of okay. We're here for content. We're here for fun. I'm not going to feel bad about timing out on Moto because I'm not a Moto player, and this is a Monastery Mentor. So 2024, that should be fine. Yep. Yeah, this is good. Math is right. Bet you guys didn't think I was going to win that one. No, stop. Don't do anything. They can't cascade into anything. This doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you trade with the Monastery Mentor. You're dead on board. 2024, yeah. Did I math? Okay, so was our sideboard plan correct? Does it change on the play? Do we need more spell pierces? So like Test of Talents is like a spell pierce, but it's worse on turn 1. So maybe we have to make that swap just because we're on the play. Like maybe we don't have the luxury of Test of Talents. You see why the Frantic Inventories kind of had to stay. Balance goes up when we're on the draw. I didn't really know how to sideboard last game. I sure don't know how to now. My hands are a little cold. I don't know why my room is so cold, but I have a candle, so I'm warming them up a bit. Okay. I think we're just going back in. I don't think we're going to get there on time. We're going to try, though, so bear with me. We're going to go gamer mode. We're going to warm up the hands a little bit. And again, hopefully that was a really good demonstration of what this deck does. I think that really looked strong for the deck, regardless of the fact that it was so tight. I think that Rhinos is just a hard matchup. Game 1 was hard on the draw. Game 2, we kind of got by a couple things, but we really managed to bungle through it. This hand is not good. You can't keep 2 Tolarian Terrors. We don't have swords up. It's going to be slow. Our opponent has mulliganed every game, I believe. They mulligan again. I'm hoping they go to Oblivion. Here we just put back the Bane? Unless. So this is a matchup where a fast Bane is a little bit appealing, but I don't think we can afford to keep one in the opener. I think we have to put it back, and then if we draw a threat, we draw a threat. That's great, but... I'm looking to 6. Keep. I gotta go fast. Got it. Alright. We'll see how much I talk. I gotta go fast because of the way that I am. Alright, this would be a good game to have a balance. The good news is I don't think I'm going to time out here. I think I'm going to get beat to death. Glacial Fortress not being Port Town here, it's not its fault, but we are going to take 10 damage, then we're going to take 6 damage. No! No! Help me, Spell Pierce! We're going to preordain into Balance, and then it's going to be okay. Hello? MTGO Premium? Top card draw. Look, man, okay, maybe I will time out, but I'm going to be happy as a clam while I do so. We might get balanced down to 1 land. Okay, we're not. We are going to get balanced down to 2 cards. But that just means that we're going to be feeding our Sailor's Banes. Look, and this is why balance, right? 'Tis the reason for the season. I get 2 cards, and they both have to be good. Can I win if my opponent plays a threat next turn? Like, if I keep Counterspell or if they play a threat next turn, Swords only answer some of them. I'm going to keep Counterspell Consider. And I need them to, like, not have mana sources, or I need them to not have red mana. I need them to have a bunch of 4-drops. That's probably bad for me. That unlocks Shardless Agent, Violent Outburst. So we're probably going to die here, but I got to show off why Balance is in the deck. Land could be good. Okay. So that was just... Oh. Cool. I think we're going to naturally draw a land. If it was Island or Glacial Fortress, I would keep it, but... Now maybe I'll keep a land, which is weird. Yeah, okay. Top this, draw it, play it. Nope. I'm still going to time out or die to something crazy. They didn't have something crazy on this last turn. Now, this could unlock 4-drops for them, so their hand needs to be, like, really bad. Okay, so we die. Cool. We tried, though. We can cruise into a removal spell, but we're going to get trapped out pretty quick here. Treasure Cruise. We don't have any flashback stuff, so it doesn't matter. We kind of have to consider into something. We can't take 8 here. We have to consider into Swords here, unfortunately. Maybe we should have waited for there. Can we take 8 here and let them attack? Probably not. I think we're just... So, I mean, I can take a blind draw with Thought Scour and try to hit Zalalia, and I'm going to die if I don't interact. We're going to counterspell that. But then we're going to get trapped out, so we're just dead here, unfortunately. We'll take a draw step in Frantic just to see what's coming down the pipeline, but little too late, unfortunately. Because, yeah, there's no way for us to get out of this trap. So we are dead here. We'll take a draw step plus some just for content, I guess. We're probably holding up the tournament, so we'll probably concede. I just want to see my top card. Alright, GG's. Okay, that was really fun. I am going to stop the recording here, and then we'll catch you for the next round. Alright, gamers, we are back for round number 2. Round number 1 didn't go so bad, but it didn't go so well either. I do know we're playing against Cloudpost. I think it's non-Gigantha Cloudpost, but it is Cloudpost, which means these are not very good. But we have Faithful Mending to get rid of them, and we have a couple cantrips, and our mana is decent. I think this is going to be good enough for us. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've been off that card, or I've never been on that card because it was too much money. And when I play Cloudpost, I really, really value the Gigantha. Turn 1 Cloudpost, that's a pretty good place to be. This is going to be an uphill battle. Port down to show you this. We're going to Preordain on turn 1 because it doesn't stop us from holding up a counterspell, and we don't have that many spell pierces. Okay, so upside of Dig Through Time is we're going to be able to loot some cards in with Faithful Mending. I think we're just a little bit far away from it, and I think we do need to find a land. I actually think that Consider maybe should have gone on the bottom as well to find a third land. But next turn, I'm probably not countering anything. Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. Cool. Yeah, I've not played much of the Matter Reshapers. We're going to double consider here, I think, or maybe Faithful Mending to get that Frantic in the graveyard. We'll Swords this eventually, but I'm not really in a hurry to do that. It's going to be bad when they start getting out of loose focus range. That's going to be a big problem for us. Mere Battle Sphere is a really big problem for us. The little guys, not so bad, but there's not a clear way to answer them. So this sees 4 cards, this sees 2 cards. We're looking for a land here. So, top that, I guess. Do this. We're looking for probably a counterspell at this point. It's not necessarily the one we want. No counterspell up except Spell Pierce. I don't mind mending here to get rid of probably Frantic Inventory Terror. Then we'll Swords the Matter Reshaper at some point. They are on 9 mana. I don't think this is going to go very well. They are on more than 9 mana. We know they have a Devourer in hand. I'm not going to Spell Pierce that. Oh, maybe I'll be pitching the Spell Pierce. That card's not going to do anything for me. When did I learn about... Okay, so we are going to Mending first. Spell Pierce, I think, is not going to do anything. Mm-hmm. 3, 4, 5. We're pretty close to the Terror. I'm just a little bit worried if I ditch the inventory. I'm worried that we're going to run out of card draw. It seems weird, but Path is not actually that good in this matchup. I would suspect. Nope. Okay. 7. You have discounted Bane. That's perfect. Okay, so we're going to go Bane into Counterspell, which is about as much as we can hope for. So we're hoping to counter a Battle Ball here. Do they have that Breaker in their hand? I thought they did. Because they revealed it, right? So Breaker is 7 plus 4 for Ward is 11 total. They have 15, 16, 17. So they can Breaker, kill this, or yeah, Devourer. I guess that just is what it is. We can Swords that, so we don't need to Counterspell it. Kind of unfortunate. I think we're going to try to block the Matter Reshaper instead of Swordsing it. So, yeah, we have to save Counterspell for Battle Ball. And this will probably be our turn to deploy the Terror for 1 mana. I'd like to see Frantic Inventory, Delve Spell. Loose Focus seems kind of mid here. Probably find a land off of this. If I don't find a land off the Frantic Inventory, I'm just simply going to get lucky. Okay. Thought Scour myself looking for a land and then Swords it. Or do I go Shields down and I go Terror plus Swords? I think we... Oh man, it's just... It's really bad if they have a Battle Ball. I don't know that I can take 9 here, though, is kind of the problem. Also, Trench Post is going to be a problem because we mill ourselves a lot. We might be on the Thought Scour them plan soon. Boy. Terror into Swords. I don't love Terror into Swords, but we're going to do it. We're going to hope they're a little light on gas because they don't have a Gigantha. Probably not a matchup we're excited to see. Okay, so we know they have Golos in their deck. And what they're saying there is they're happy to cantrip it to a piece of action. I guess that's all it's ever doing, right? It's just going to do that. I'm going to take 3 on the off chance that maybe they don't cast a spell that matters this turn. Because if they cantrip into a battle ball, I lose on the spot. Here, now at least I can Frantic. I gotta find land off this, right? Yeah. Now we have Counterspell up. Opponent, let's see if they remember their Trench Post. Okay, so opponent is F6'd on the Trench Post plan, which is unfortunate because it's pretty likely I could get killed by it. We can't take damage forever. I mean, I guess I could Swords it, but great. This tells me they have a Dark Depths in their deck, so Thoughtscour U is actually pretty good. That gets Swords to Plowshares. I don't really care about that. We can spend that mana later. If we mill the Depths, we're happy. Okay. Okay. So I don't think we want to get hit by it. Are they going to grow it a bunch? They have 10 mana. They can actually copy this using these, and then they would have 4 posts. Yeah, they can just buff it a lot, but it's fine. Now I think they're remembering to... Okay, they're still just going to do this. This looks like a game where Trench Posting me would have won, by the way. I just don't think I'm going to close it out quick enough, especially with them gaining 10 here. So, like, we're 9 turns of attacking with this if we don't increase our clock. I'm also planning to Frantic myself and draw a lot. Yes, that's going to be a problem. I think if you did that first, I think you would have had a little bit more. But here we're going to get Trench Posted for 6 into 12. That's pretty bad. Does that mean we have to Frantic now and draw another Terror? Or are we just dead? 3, 6. Trench Post us down to 24. Untap, Trench Post us to 12. Then Trench Post us down. Yeah, we're actually dead just to the Trench Post, unfortunately. Tough dynamic. Okay. I don't know what to say about that. That's just unfortunate. Trench Post is really nice in Cloudpost because it does fix a lot of matchups like this. I guess I could have Frantic'd and then tried to draw Monastery Mentor specifically. I mean, I guess that's going to make me never cast spells again, right? I'm not personally a believer, but I respect the culture of it. And now we're going to get Trench Posted down to 12. Yep. They know about Archmage's Charm, so not going to get to hit them with their own 20/20. They're probably going to be careful about that. I mean, I guess mill myself. But so we're going to go to 14, then they're going to Trench Post us to 8, and then they're going to untap and Trench Post us again. So we only get one more combat step. Okay. Not close to being close. Okay, so some people play Tsunami. They would probably mostly be playing it for High Tide, but we kind of get caught in the crossfire a little bit, which is a problem. That's not the biggest problem in this matchup, though. There's a lot of big structural issues. So unfortunately, the soft counterspells get bad pretty quick. An early Spell Pierce can hit an Expedition map, which they showed us map but not scrying. They do definitely have threats for this. I think Balance is going to be bad, even though it answers a Battle Ball. I think we just need to have a different plan. Test is marginal against Tsunami, but I don't think that's what this is about. I'm not bringing in more paths. Spell Pierce to just stop them from developing their early game is interesting. Hushbringer is good against Golos. Breaker of Creation is a cast trigger, or whatever the 7 mana guy that kills something is. This is good against Golos and Battle Ball. It makes Battle Ball answerable. The problem is, I think we just have to get value off these cards. I think we have to keep them stumbling. But if they have a hand that just naturally makes a bunch of land drops, like post into stage, we're gonna have trouble. It's just like kind of a structural issue, but okay, yeah, not a super favorable matchup, but we're gonna run it and see what we can do. This hand is pretty good. Path to Exile is bad. Maybe that should have been cut. Maybe this is too bad and we don't care about most of what they do. They have a Devourer on deck. Maybe we'll have to play around that more than we did last time. We will be... So we want to develop a threat as fast as we can. Thought Scour does fill our graveyard faster, but I think Consider first is going to make more sense because it just like finds us more stuff. Leading on Glimmer Post instead of Cloudpost is preferable. No turn 1 play is also good. Let's find a piece of interaction here that's not a removal spell. Double Thought Scour is good. Not the card we wanted to draw. We're going to double Thought Scour ourselves. Hopefully flip over a couple Frantic Inventories for some card advantage. Okay. No thought to Thought Scouring our opponent. That would be psychopathic. Not the ideal mills. 1, 2. That's not good. Okay. I mean, I don't really want all of these. Maybe we can go Thought Scour into mill Frantic draw 2. Not very good draw steps for us, unfortunately. Not very good mills either. I guess we're going to Swords that. We do have that one covered, thankfully. Alright, flip 2 Frantic Inventories, please. Come on, man. I wanted like a couple of these in my deck. Literally so bad. Okay. Discounted by 6 currently. I mean, it's really not good. Maybe they go Forest Tsunami would be like really good for me, and I can Spell Pierce it. Okay, that's probably a draw step. We just gotta spend the Spell Pierce on anything, man. It's not that bad for you. It's a 4-turn clock. It's fine. Maybe your hand was really bad, but I think you could have grounded out, opponent. I think you could have grounded out a little bit more. My hand's bad. We're on the board. Okay. Okay, so those were awful draw steps. This looked like too many, but like these could have just been Frantic Inventories instead. You know what I mean? Maybe like Lose Focus scales better than Spell Pierce. That's probably true. Well, but the thing is, right, like, they both kind of suck because our opponent is Cloudpost. Spell Pierce at least lets us snipe an early Expedition map. Or like a Sylvan Scrying. While they're still trying to set up their mana. So it's like they're both bad. But maybe 2 is just enough. Did that make me want to not have these? Maybe trim the path for... Like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't get better. I could cycle a Soul Guide. Yeah, I guess a 2-mana cantrip is better than a Path to Exile. Because fixing them for green is really bad. Because a lot of the times they keep a hand that has no colored mana. So giving them access to their first green source is, like, not good. This hand's good. They kept 7. Please don't show me a Cloudpost. I will say, one thing about the Devourer of Destiny, it certainly does increase your turn 1 Cloudposts the same way that... well, I guess not when you're on the play. But the same way that Once Upon a Time does. Okay, we're going to lose, probably. I think our best chance is for them to make an early 2020 and get Archmage's Charmed. It's too soon for that, and we're good on lands. Okay, if we're going to have a threat early, Sailor's Bane is better. Turn 2... Probably Faithful Mending and just try to set up for an early Bane. I guess we could consider Thought Scour. That's 1, 2, and then we're milling 3. Do they miss land? So, I think we can jettison the Swords to Plowshares. Faithful Mending gets better when we have a bunch of cards we don't want, like when we're satiated on lands. So I'm going to Thought Scour myself. And if we can get the Sailor's Bane down early... Dude, these mills have not been ideal. I will tell you that right now. Consider... So next turn we would then consider plus Frantic if we keep it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not... No. We need to bend it just for the numbers. Okay, so this actually would exile something from my graveyard. I will say it looks better than a Path to Exile, I'll tell you that. Lose Focus, so if they draw like a map or something, we can fight them on that. I think we just need them to miss their next land drop again. Didn't they look at the top 4 with Breaker? I think they're Brainstorm locked. What if I just counter it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This costs 4? I gotta let it go, unfortunately. I could get in trouble here for letting them have that. So I want to spend all my mana. This is a hard counterspell. I can't get rid of that. We got a Mending here, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have a land, so I can't necessarily Sailor's Bane plus a counterspell next turn. I could Swords, discard. Soul Guide Lantern is a pretty easy discard. If I draw a land, I get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I do this and I draw a land, I get to Sailor's Bane with Counterspell up. This is how we win. This is how we win this matchup. I am counterspelling basically any spell. It'd be really funny if they develop a Matter Reshaper here and I get a little punished for this. I would love to counter a green spell here, but no, they just Brainstorm locked off the... Get him. I'm evil. Let's go. Alright, gamers, we are jumping into round 3. I don't know what my opponent is playing today. No companion, so I guess we'll figure it out. One of those hands. We're on the draw. So how bad is it if I go lead on Glacial Fortress? Swords. Man, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad just based on the lands, unfortunately. Double tap land's rough. 2 draw steps to get an island to have untapped Port Town. Man, the interaction's pretty good, though. It's not a counterspell until turn 3 on the draw, though. That's probably too slow. Cool. Always put back the Mentor. Unless you're feeling like a greedy little freak and you just want to run it out on turn 3, but we're not going to do that. Alright, I have played it on turn 3 before and had it be good. It's just like terrifying, and you really don't want to be there. Is this Rhinos again? No, they can't play once. Green-white initiative? Yep. Okay, so they're going to go Absence Pilgrim into White Plume on the play, which is not pretty, I'll tell you that. This game could be gone. So how do we get out from under this? We can't counterspell it because of the way things are. So we want to Preordain into a Swords to Plowshares. Swords to Plowshares, the White Plume. After countering something else. So we need land and we need Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Don't need this. I don't think Island does enough for us to draw it off a cantrip. We just have to draw it naturally like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm relatively happy to have a 3rd land, but it's not good enough that we can seek it out. Okay. Simultaneously better and worse that they had the Sol Ring. It didn't really affect their development here. Assuming they already had this land. They were going to have 3 mana for the White Plume, and then the White Plume is going to give them a land off Secret Entrance, which gives them 4 mana, so they can cast Palace Jailer. So the Sol Ring here, I mean, although it looks scary, it's just another piece of mana. It doesn't help them like double Swords to Plowshares. It's actually kind of, in some ways, good that they have a Sol Ring. Copium? So, 2 schools of thought here. We could Thought Scour into Consider. We don't have swords. Yeah. Are they going to forge their Dork to distribute their counters evenly, or are they going to forge the White Plume and go all in? It's worse to go all in on the White Plume if I have a swords right here. But if they need this for mana, cool. 2 3/3s. I think that's the better play overall, especially because they have the Sol Ring mana. We're not going to dig for a swords here. It just saves 3 points, and if they resolve a Palace Jailer, we also lose. Like, it's already bad, and that would make it really bad. Here we want to Thought Scour and Consider into a swords, and then sword something, and then get a Sailor's Bane down. This is doable. It's not pretty, but it's doable. Weirdly, it's not the most threatening thing they could have, but it's definitely going to get counterspelled. Good and bad, we have the counterspell. Bad is it's still a poor exchange. Which is unfortunately what this matchup is. It's hard to really get ahead. Because just like the Rhinos matchup, so many of their threats, if they resolve, you just kind of die. Like an unanswered White Plume is such a big problem. Here we're going to trap down to 8 and then hit down to 2. Which is unfortunate. We were a little slow. I'm glad we didn't keep that first hand, and we'll be on the play for game 2, and we will have some Hushbringers, and hopefully their hand's not as good. I do get to try to Consider into a swords here, if I do that, my lose focus is currently good for 4. So if they Palace Jailer, if I lose focus it, they can still ram it through. I think this just has to be okay. I think they will probably name Sailor's Bane or Swords to Plowshares here, was kind of my guess. We may have to find balance off the top, which it did work the last time I kind of shot called it. Okay. Yeah, so here we're going to dig for another counterspell, and then we're not going to find it, and we're going to lose. Okay. If I knew I was getting another Thought Scour, would I have kept that Terror? Probably, yeah, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I could go Terror plus Bane here, it could be good. Let him go to combat. I might Swords if I get it. Okay. Frantic in the graveyard is theoretically good, but I think it's just too little too late. They have too much stuff going on over there. 1, 2, 3. So we have a discounted Bane. Is that enough to stabilize? No, it's enough to die on board. Preordain into Balance or Preordain into Swords to Plowshares. If we Swords to Plowshares, we block here, Swords here, take 5. We would have to block and then Swords our own guy, going to 12, and then take 3, 6, 8, which doesn't work. So it's going to really be Balance or Bust here. This sees 3 cards. Frantic Inventory sees less, so we need to find balance off this, unfortunately. Those are not enough to move the needle. Okay. Get a rebuy. Okay, yeah, that deck's good too. So this matchup is weird. Hushbringers don't do a lot to answer like a board that comes down before your counterspells, but the way that you win this matchup is by usually they take the initiative on turn 2 or 3, sometimes not on the play, but then it's really hard when you have to counterspell all their initiative creatures and all their Palace Jailers. You can stabilize the board behind like a Terror or a Bane, and then you can get a Hushbringer down and then use Swords to Plowshares to control what the opponent is doing. If you don't have the Hushbringer, there are simply too many cards that matter. Okay. Now the thing that's weird, sometimes I don't bring in all the paths. I don't know if that's correct, because you do have to answer stuff on board as well. Spell Pierces are clearly bad. It's hard to trim hard counterspells. I hate trimming the Monastery Mentor. The good thing is, we do have additional win conditions because we bring in the Hushbringers and then we take the initiative from them, and then we can kind of rely on the initiative to win the game before we deck out. So I think it's okay to do that. I do want... I know I want these 4. I would like to have these 2. We can't cut threats. Maybe we can for that same reason. Path is really bad. Okay. Path is really bad. Archmage's Charm's a little slow, maybe? Alright, we're going to be on the play and we're just going to do it better. Our opponent did have Dork and a White Plume. The Sol Ring didn't really matter too much there. So the problem with this hand... is 2 threats, no cantrips. We go Port Town, they go Dork, we go Hushbringer, and we're pretty good. I wish that this was a Doorkeeper Thrall. I forgot to make that swap. That's kind of a swap I've made in paper. It's nice that they have to put something on the stack and then you get them with it. Begrudge and Keep, I don't like it. I just need them to not have an answer for this. And then I need to draw stuff so I don't die to just like random cards. So we go Port Town, Island, go. I might be getting baited by the sideboard card. No Dork. Are they holding up Path? No Dork, no green mana? Do they know about the Hushbringer plan and they have a Swords? If they Swords it, it's bad, but they can't... The only thing I'm scared of on 2 is a Thalia. If I hold up Counterspell and then counter the 2-drop, they pass back, I'm at 3 mana. If I play Hushbringer, and then they Swords it, I don't have Counterspell for White Plume. So we're going to do this, and if they have Swords into Thalia, it's not great. No Swords. That makes sense, and that explains a lot of the keep. So they're going to have White Plume on 3, I'm guessing. We are not blocking. Shout out Hushbringer for reducing the damage the Thalia is going to do. If they White Plume, I'm probably going to just lose focus it. We are up a path. Wow. If they drew a Swords here... Okay. So we get to Preordain, not into Counterspell is the problem. So if I Preordain, it costs 2 mana. And I'm a little shields down to removal spell into Palace Jailer or White Plume. They didn't Swords me previously. They would have had to have drawn it for the turn and then chosen to let me... I guess I was already untapped, but they would have had to draw it for the turn. Just didn't have it on 1. It's really easy to see it going wrong either way, but if they have Swords to Plowshares, they do it on my end step, and that taps me out of Counterspell. I don't like it. No. Hand's a little heavy here. This is not great. Yeah. Okay. And then I think they're going to resolve a Jailer here, probably. Just a White Plume. I mean, they had to draw that Swords, or that Path. Because they didn't have it on turn 1. Meh. It happens. So that's the problem with the double threat keep as well. We haven't drawn any velocity on our cantrips, and we're Thaliad, so it's just like a really bad situation. Okay, we can delve 4 plus 5 is 9. I could cruise here, right? The other option is 2 mana Consider into 3 mana Counterspell into a more heavily discounted cruise next turn. Okay. I guess I should have considered main phase for a land or a balance, maybe. I think you forge your White Plume here because I want to Swords the Thalia as much as the first striker is appealing. I think this is already a high value threat. This is a medium value threat. I can't let them stick a Jailer, so I have to take this and then do my moves on the end step, I think. Tough, 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 tough. I think I need to just spend my mana. 3. Okay, that's tough. As it enters. Okay. So that's just happening. Ugh, this one has been tough. This is also a tough matchup, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the Rhinos match. It's just like, if these cards resolve, it's so bad for you, and they're not answered by a Swords to Plowshares. I feel like I had an okay understanding of what was happening in this game. I do think, like I said, I got baited by the sideboard card into keeping a 2-threat hand, which is generally not very good. Unfortunately, we might be into consider into balance territory, unfortunately. I think there's not really a wrong answer here. Womp womp, summoning trap. It's okay, this deck's good too. A lot of the Magic Online events that we play, they tend to be a lot more like degenerate. It feels like people are really happy to like play like non-interactive combo decks online a lot, which I think makes this a pretty good choice because you have so much disruption and then like cheap threats, so you can hold up a lot of interaction for their combo. I do generally like playing. Sure, that makes sense. I do generally like playing against mid-rangey decks like this. The initiative is just such a powerful mechanic that it's tough. Okay, so 2-mana Path to Thalia. 3, 4, 5, 6. 2-mana Path to Thalia. 2-mana Cruise. Consider costs a buttload. Not doable. I think it does start with Pathing with Thalia. Let's make sure we're okay with that. Path of Thalia. Cruise kind of strands the terror, but okay. I would like to put up a little bit of a fight this game. That summoning trap made it hard though. Help me, Treasure Cruise. I'm just dead on board now, right? 3/6 trap. Tough. Yeah, 3/6 plus 5, right? Yeah, probably not a good hand. Just you should really never keep a hand with 2 threats, just because they don't move you towards your goal, and like they were just dead in my hand this whole time. I think looking back, that was probably a pretty easy mulligan, just because these weren't relevant this game at all. And if the cards in your hand aren't going to be relevant, you might as well have less cards in your hand, but have them be relevant, right? So I do think it was kind of a mistake to keep that Hushbringer, especially because I brought in a couple of them. So I was likely to find more. So yeah, probably just baited by the sideboard card there. I think it's a winnable matchup. I don't think it's good. I think it's a little bit better than it looked here, though, unfortunately. That was just a little bit of a tough one. Them winning the die roll and going Dork into White Plume is unfortunate. They have a pretty high success rate at doing that. And then game 2 just kind of shook out really rough for me. I think I talked through the possible lines pretty well with like playing the Hushbringer and potentially getting Swords and then Thalia'd. Unfortunately, that is exactly what happened. Okay, well, we'll be back for round number 4. Thanks for watching.